Now then, it's time, of course, for the Special Distinction Award. As an artist, reading one's reviews is a dangerous game. I mean, art is subjective, so how could one opinion have more import than another? Does anyone need to be told what's good or bad? For example, when you go into a restaurant, if you get lost, you pull into a gas station, you ask for directions, but do you also ask the gas attendant what he thinks of the chili? Actually, I usually do. So maybe we do need critics. No, I'm sure we don't. Our presenter of the Special Distinction Award is one half of a rather infamous film critiquing team. I have seen his reviews of all of my work, and he's my favorite half. Please welcome Roger Ebert.
Thanks, Kevin. I'm my favorite half, too. But I do bring regards from my other half. People at the airport always say things to me like, "Aren't you Siskel and Ebert?" No. I know I should take off a few pounds, but Gene is in Chicago. He is the proud father of a 3-week-old baby boy. And we're all very happy. Uncle Roger is happy. The baby was born with 2 thumbs. Such a heartwarming moment, little Gene leaning over the bassinet. Now, baby boy Siskel, just as soon as you stop sucking that thumb, Daddy's going to show you how to make some real money with it. Anyway, Gene wishes he could be here, and I'm sure that he would agree with everything I'm about to say. For a change, I know he would, because this is a film that the award is going to that we have championed, along with so many other people, that it was picked as the most selected film on Best 10 lists last year around the country by those hated entities, film critics. The Special Distinction Award is given to a film that doesn't fit within the eligibility requirements of a Spirit Award. The film can be a documentary, a short subject, or an animated subject, and this year, the IFP Wiest Board of Directors chose Hoop Dreams. A documentary that moved audiences more deeply than almost any mainstream movie in recent memory. An epic shot over a span of 5 years, and it's amazing to me that when they started doing this film, they obviously had no idea how it was going to turn out or what strange twists of fate these 2 lives would take. This film tells the incredible true story of 2 young men facing tremendous obstacles in the pursuit of their dreams. What's most effective about this picture is its emotional honesty. It makes its case very simply, with no great fanfare, and you come away from it really knowing and caring about characters that you see all too rarely in American films, nonviolent, inner-city African Americans. I believe for many American filmgoers, the inner city of America is a land more unknown than the landscapes of Stargate. Hoop Dreams is a great film and a shoo-in for an Oscar nomination, so you would think. The documentary committee's failure to nominate Hoop Dreams, or to even look at more than 25 minutes of Terry Zweigel's Crumb, is a scandal that must not be repeated. Let's take a look and see a little bit of what the documentary committee apparently was blind to, the greatness of Hoop Dreams.
It begins with a game, with a basket and a ball. It becomes a journey of heartbreak and hope, from city streets to the brink of fame. the amazing story of two boys and two families struggling against the odds.
My mother, God bless her, she's always said to me, this America, you can make something of your life.
Against the system.
You have to realize you can make that team win.
To make a dream come true.
All I ever dreamed about was playing in the NBA.
People ask me, will I remember them if I make it? I tell them, will you remember me if I don't?
Hoop Dreams. An extraordinary true story. A unique motion picture experience.
And you see what a groundbreaker it truly was, the first documentary made in the shape of a commercial. Maybe it will win a Clio Award, too. I wish they had shown a scene from the film. I think it would have been much more appropriate. One interesting footnote. On Monday night, when the Academy Awards are being given out, William Gates, who is one of the subjects of Hoop Dreams, is going to be playing for his Marquette team against Penn State in the NIT tournament at Madison Square Garden. So that little kid that we first saw in the 8th grade who said, this basketball is going to take me out of here and help me amount to something, has had his dream come true. The IFP West recognizes Hoop Dreams as a great achievement, and we're happy to present the Special Distinction Award to its creators, Steve James, Frederick Marks, and Peter Gilbert.
Well, this is great. This is my Oscar. Thank you. I have to quickly thank a couple of people here. One is Quentin Films and Gordon Quinn, who gave Hoop Dreams a filmmaking home in Chicago. We went in there with a proposal, absolutely no money, and we stayed there for 8 years and they kept us. It was pretty amazing. And I'd also like to thank Catherine Allen at KTCA Public Television in Minneapolis. KTCA came through for us in really very desperate times, and their money that they got us allowed us to continue production. And it's important to remember that institutions like Hartemquin and films like Hoop Dreams are funded with PBS, CPB, NEA, and other public monies. Please join in the fight to keep PBS and the NEA alive. And then there's some other people here. There's John Sloss, who's out there, who is our friend and lawyer, and probably lawyer for half of the people here. And I have to thank the folks at Fine Line, Liz Mann, Sarah Eden, Marion Coltine, Nevin Shallett, Brian Caldwell, for taking this film on with great passion and dedication. And all the new Fine Liners, Ruth Vitale and Mitch Goldman, who are also here. And then I have to do a special thanks to Ira Deutschman, who bravely took on who bravely took on a 3-hour-long documentary about inner-city families and basketball. Ira was always there for us. He always returned our phone calls, and he was a great friend all the way through this. And also to the Gates and Agee's families, I love them.
Well, Peter thanked everybody, so there's nobody left for me to thank. But that won't stop me from talking. I we're supposed to have a rim shot. Okay. Ba-dum-bum. At any rate, it is really important, I think, just to underscore a couple things that Peter said and people that he thanked, because the truth of the matter is the latest Tibetan monks that we have here tonight are our own Tibetan monks, and that is the NEA and the CPB and the PBS. And these are our own governmental institutions that help make this film possible. And if it weren't for those governmental institutions, we wouldn't have been able to get this film off the ground, and there wouldn't have been any opportunity for Fine Line, New Line, anybody else to see this film down the road and take it to the next level. So it's very, very important, again, that we all sort of recognize that, you know, if we want to see films like Hoop Dreams in the future, it's really important that we support these institutions. It's round 2 for New Line, thank you. Seeing the demo tape tonight, you know, I was, the trailer, I'm thinking, wow, this really is a good film. I'd like to see this myself. And it just illustrates, once again, I think, some of the tremendous work that Fine Line put into helping to get our vision out to the broad American public. And they did such a tremendous job. And there's one thing that really comes to mind in particular to me, and that is back in early November, when the film had been out about 2 or 3 weeks and we had gotten this massive wave of publicity, we thought things could not possibly be getting any better than this. And we thought, we've got to get this film out to hundreds of theaters if possible, because that's always the conventional wisdom. Get it out fast and hard, and people will go see it. Well, we were on the phone all the time talking to Ira and Liz Mann and the great folks at Fine Line and saying, please, we're missing our opportunity. And there were all kinds of people who were telling us if we don't act fast, the window will close and our chance will be finished. And Ira especially was a tremendous voice of patience and courage and saying, no, we've got to sit on it, we've got to wait, and if we're patient, the audience will get there. And in fact, we kept it very small for a long period of time last fall. And when it came time, Christmas time and beyond, they opened it wider, and it's still playing in theaters today. And that's 6 months later, and that's all due to the great wisdom and patience of Ira Deutschman and Liz Mann and those folks. I want to thank them very much. Lastly, I just want to thank Susan Taylor, who is the love of my life, and who's here with me today, and I always manage never to thank her at events like this, and I want to tell her how much she means to me. Her support is everything. Thank you, dear.
Well, we made you sit through a 3-hour film, so you have to sit through 3 hours of thank yous. This is my favorite award ceremony, because this is the first one I've been to. We've been to a lot this year. This is the first one where you get to go to the honey wagon, go to the bathroom. I need a better writer. I just want to add my thanks to Peter and Fred's, and also say that, you know, I think back to in the middle of shooting Hoop Dreams when things were really going bad for the Agees and the Gates, particularly the Agee family, when they were on welfare and when Arthur's dad was out of the house and when Sheila didn't have a job. And I mean, everything was at rock bottom for them. And I remember talking to Sheila on the phone, and she would say that she didn't, she felt like when this film was done that people would hate them, that people would look at their lives and think that they're bad people. And I used to tell her that, you know, Sheila, no, that's not going to happen, that people are going to, you know, see this film and they're going to look at you and they're going to think, maybe for the first time, for a lot of people, they're going to understand what you go through and what millions of inner city families go through in this country. And then at the New York Film Festival last October, when it opened, we were sitting up there in the balcony and at Avery Fisher Hall, and there were like 3,000 people there. And I was sitting next to Sheila for part of it, and she, you know, knocked me in the ribs and she said, you know, look at all those people out there. They're looking at our story, and they won't even get up and go to the bathroom, which I couldn't think of a higher compliment for a film. And by this honor that you give us today, you honor them, and you honor their stories, and you honor their determination and their dreams. Hopefully, you know, the rest of America, and particularly Congress, can look at a film like Hoop Dreams and look at what goes on in the inner cities of America and do something about it. Thank you.
You happy now? Now it's a real award show. They went off the wrong way. I love that. Oh, we're still here, right. Now we have a moment in time when I need to introduce the executive director. And I should tell you a little bit about her. She's a Harvard grad, an actress, a journalist. She hails from Arkansas, which, of course, coincidentally, many years ago, President Clinton, then governor, signed the first check to sponsor the IFP. Why? He was asked why. His response was, "I just love all those Russ Meyer movies." Have you seen them? That's just good writing. Please welcome Don Hudson.
Hi, y'all. I want to thank all of you who gave your time not just to make this event happen, but to create a home for independent filmmakers, a place to meet, to talk, and to learn how to scam free processing from Photocam and Deluxe. To David Burton Morris, Victoria Wozniak, Anna Thomas, and Greg Nava, who created the IFP West. Greg, they were great. Greg and Anna rented out of their bedroom for the first 2.5 years. We are sorry they had nothing better to do in their bedroom, but honored that we were their fallback. And to Jeannie Lucas, who, like a true independent, created the Spirit Awards with no budget and few resources. Thanks, yeah. Although we have more thanks here. To my dear friend Kathy Main, president of Alpha Cine, who spent much of the last 5 years as chair of the Spirit Awards, to the occasional delight of her employers. And I also want to thank our longtime friends, especially the Eastman Kodak Company, who has supported the Spirit Awards from the very beginning. All of you here today, who brought us here today, who bought tables, you are increasing the opportunities for independent filmmakers by contributing to IFP West. Thanks to our incredible producer of today's event, Dianne Zahn. She's worked with many of you. Yeah, she's great. I know many of you have worked with her, so you don't need me to tell you how fabulous she is. Along with her production team, Pam Batra, Heidi Pavey, stage manager Rick Bassman, a production crew, over 100 volunteers. And I want to thank the IFP West staff for your total commitment to the cause. Thanks. Special thanks to our leading sponsors, Bill Schoonmaker, Martin Grossenbacher, and Franco Bosisio from Swatch, Bob Harvey of Panavision, Marion Schwindeman and Dan Oshiak at Entertainment Weekly, Kathleen Dorr, yes, Kathleen Dorr and Jonathan Sering of Bravo and the Independent Film Channel. I'll make that a very special thanks once you hook up the Independent Film Channel in Santa Monica. Thanks also to the 80 members of the press here today who have increased the national audience for independent films by having the courage of their convictions that not every great motion picture has to be based on a Saturday Night Live skit. Thank you for writing about these weird, obscure films. We need your support. And of course, thank you to our nominees, all the writers, directors, actors, producers, cinematographers who make films not for money or recognition or even a Spirit Award, just because they can't not make them. And now I want to introduce the president of IFP West, Barbara Boyle.
Well, I'm not going to talk about Rabbi Soloveitchik today, because you've heard that story before. But I am going to say one more thank you to the very special Dawn Hudson. Thank you for this great party. As Kodak wrote in this wonderful ad that they took, IFP is dedicated to recognizing and inspiring excellence in the field of independent filmmaking. What is that field? Is it a fashion to be independent now? Is it a trend? I think it's a movement that is loud and clear and powerful of you all. And we applaud you for this, and you should applaud yourself for this. Actually, I think what we've done is have a very unique marriage. And as many of you know, I have a very unique marriage. I've been married to the same man for 35 years. But the unique marriage that I'm talking about today is the marriage between commerce and art. Something that has eluded others in this town who also make movies. But it doesn't seem to elude us. We've made art that is pure, art that is unique, art that is bold, art that is individual, and you know what? We're actually making money with that art. And that is another reason to applaud the mighty Miramax, the glorious Goldwyn, the outstanding October, the very new New Line, Fine Line, Any Line, and all those who have financed many of your films here today. So let's thank them, and let's be glad our films have returned money to them. IFP has been and continues to be the point of a triangle that's growing and growing. A movement that we feel as an organization has been very important. First, to service our members, and we've done that, as many of you know, with many of our activities. But even more important, to begin to be an influence in the community. Last year, this time, we talked about Project Involved. 20 inner city young women, between then when we talked about it and now that we've done it, have made a film. The next Allison Anders, the next Jodie Foster, the next we don't know, but we dream and hope because we made it happen for them. The second thing and big thing to announce today is a capital fund for an independent film center. A center, not a metaphor, a building where filmmakers can show their films, can meet each other even more. The resources of a library, the resources of our individual talents, it is our dream. And the third and last thing that is very unique to this particular year is, again, commerce and art. And I'm going to talk for just a moment about Swatch. Interesting what they've done to the face of watches, but more interesting because they're celebrating 100 years of filmmaking with 3 independents, our very own, Altman, Kurosawa, Almodovar, in their wonderful series. And for that, we are all grateful and pleased. Independence everywhere. And to introduce this unique and wonderful award that Swatch has empowered us to give back to our community is, does everyone know who Sam Jackson is? Do I need to do an introduction? The last time I had the pleasure of introducing Samuel Jackson, I was so overtaken by how good-looking he was in person that I actually blushed. But this time I read his bio. And the most interesting thing, because all of you know the credits, is he was actually expelled from Morehouse College, where he went to school, in 1969. What? For the failure of that college to have a Black Studies group. Talk about independence, talk about spirit. I applaud you all, I thank you all, and I bring you Samuel Jackson to give the Swatch Award.
Good afternoon. How's everybody? On behalf of the IFP West, I'm pleased to present the first annual Someone to Watch Award. a $20,000 fellowship fully funded by Swatch Incorporated. The idea is to help a film artist who is exceptionally talented but has not yet received widespread recognition. What's unique about this award is that it provides the recipient with a significant amount of cash without dictating how it is to be spent. He or she can pay off credit cards, use the money as finishing funds, or pay the rent while writing the next script. In a word, this award provides freedom. This year's recipient was chosen by a 5-person selection committee. The committee received 97 nominations from around the country representing a new generation of independent film artists. The man they selected is known as a genius in the world of no-budget guerrilla filmmaking. His first feature-length film is a dark, disturbing portrait of madness. You want to point your eyes anywhere except the screen, but you can't help but watch. It's definitely not multiplex material. A film company that shall remain nameless offered him money to shoot a second script on the condition that he tack on a happy ending. He refused and is now struggling to raise the funds to make the film on his own terms. We hope this award will make a difference in his career, just as we know that he will make a difference in the American cinema. I am honored to announce the winner of the Swatch Someone to Watch Award and the director of Clean Shaven, Lodge Kerrigan. Congratulations. Let me give you this first.
Thank you.
All right, and here's the rest of the stuff.
God, this is a shock. I was actually waiting in line to go to the bathroom. And kind of glad I got back here in time. It's a complete surprise to the people responsible. Thank you very much. Gee, I will be able to pay my rent. Maybe I can get a ticket back to New York. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Thank you.
Remember when everyone dressed that way at this award show? What the hell happened to us? Our honorary co-chairperson really needs no introduction.
Hello, I'm Harvey Keitel again. No. Oh boy, you know, there's those of us who've done this for a long time know that there are really 2 reasons to come to this great event. Well, actually 3. One is the weather's always really nice and there's little boats out there and, you know, that kind of thing. The other is that you get to see a ton of people that you've worked with a million times or a few times and somehow never seem to connect with again. John Turturro for me, Gabriel Byrne, oh boy, the list goes on, Harvey Keitel. And the other reason, of course, is to slag unmercifully everyone, anyone associated with those nasty studios. So since I'll leave that to the rest of the guests, and I've certainly done my share of slagging, I'll pass on to a great guy, somebody I know that you all know. He's done all those wonderful films that we all loved and continue to love. All of some of the great films of Spike Lee and also the Coen brothers, and not to name a few, and a few movies with me as well, some of them unnamed. The last film, which I'm sure you've all enjoyed him in, was Quiz Show, where he played the wonderful Herbert Stemple. I always hating introducing people's credits because I don't know. Anyways, it's just it's too much memory. The reason why I think we all speak of him as the epitome of independence is that he has this unerring and courageous ability to play some unconscious thing that we all know, that we all can see in ourselves, and that sometimes we have a real difficult inability to express. In my work, I often talk about the different choices that I've made as an actor and as a director. As an actor, I choose to play characters that aren't me, characters that are people that I wished I was, or that I wonder about, or that I say, well, what if I had been born here? Would I be more like that? An opportunity for me to kind of become intimate and personal with a place that I was never allowed to be. And certainly for John Turturro, when you look at his roles, that philosophy is kind of operative. Just in the film that he did with me, where I won my first independent award here, was Five Corners. And in that movie, basically, he carried me around for about 80% of the film. Yes, dead weight I was. He carried me around, he threw his mother out the window, and he smashed a penguin over the head. With a baseball bat, oh yeah. That's pretty much the epitome of who John isn't, right? And what better way to start talking about somebody but via all the things he's not. He's not kind of an overweight know-it-all, no. He's certainly not a groveling coward. He is a great actor and loves and is inspired by playing different sides of his personality, shadow sides of his personality. But I think the thing that is most revealing about John and about his work is the film that he directed, Mac, which is one of my favorites, and I know you all agree. And the most important part of independent filmmakers is that they're able to talk about their work, have the directorial process be about who I am, what I think, where I've lived, who I've loved, and where I come from. And in Mac, if you remember, it's about a man who's trying to build something desperately and giving every ounce of himself, his blood and his history, quality, his family, even giving up his relationships in order to build something that he feels is important, that somebody maybe will love and that somebody will live in and that somebody will appreciate. And somewhere towards the end of it, what if nobody wants to buy it? And what if nobody wants to live there? Does that mean it didn't happen? I don't think there is a better analogy, although that was quite facile. But I don't think there's a better analogy for the independent spirit in filmmaking than just that little idea in that movie, which is, yeah, it did happen, and it doesn't really matter whether other people believed it to be so, and it doesn't matter whether it touched people in the same way that it did you. The most important thing is that you've reached out, and I can't think of anybody who has reached out as much and as well as John Turturro. Cheers.
Thank you. I didn't know there was going to be this many speakers before I delivered this keynote address, so bear with me. Anyway, I'm flattered that I was asked, though I must admit that I had a little trepidation about giving a speech to this large audience. My choice, my personal choice, would have been Christopher Walken. Hi, I'm Chris Walken. I had a speech in my head. I have a head wound. I had a speech. The writer, me, wrote the speech. I've been carrying around for 2 years up my ass. I love Chris, so I do have a speech, and don't worry, it's been in my pocket, so, and I'm going to make it. And why am I going to make it? Well, because I didn't get nominated this year for an Academy Award, and I want to make a speech. I'm going to make a long speech. I heard that Francis Ford Coppola spoke here for 2 hours. I don't intend to go that long. If they wanted a really long speech, they would have asked for Martin Landau. So, only kidding. Now let's talk about why I wasn't nominated, all right? Because if Miramax had distributed Quiz Show, the poster that everyone hated, the back of Rafe Fiennes' head, Harvey and Bob would have been sure to pan down his back and show that he had no pants on in the isolation booth. Independent film. So many images flash across my mind when I think of independent film. I think independent film, I think independent film scale. Scale +10. No heat. Dressing room walls that you can look over. One shot. We got to do it in one shot. All right. Eyeline arguments. Is it left to right or is it right to left? Now, to watch Dennis Hopper as a director in an independent film deal with this problem was the ultimate. He would say, man, is it left to right, man, or right to left? Fuck it, man, now we gotta do it both ways, man, just fuck it, man. That's true, that's a true story. Independent film, hysterical ADs. They would say, come on, we gotta move. How many setups? 43 before lunch. Come on, we're losing the sun. It's not even up yet. I myself have had some very interesting experiences in independent film. I did this one film where I had just killed someone, and the scene was set in a bathroom. It was a terrible film. Anyway, so I got prepared for the scene. I run up and down the stairs, I stick my finger down my throat, I take my private moment, I rush into the scene, and I have gloves on, covered with blood. And somehow the blood has dripped from the gloves onto my hand. I don't know if that happened with OJ, but it happened with me. So I throw the gloves off into the sink, and I try to wash the blood off my hands. And being fiction, of course, it doesn't come off. And I turn to my wife in the scene. It's all in one shot, of course. And I say, look, I can't get it off my hands. And she says, so what? I got it on me too. I should dye my hair with it. Anyway, we shoot. The guy says, cut, great, out of focus, we do it again. So I put on the gloves. Now the gloves are wet, right? Because I threw them in a sink. And I noticed that they're wet. And I asked the AD, do we have another pair of gloves? He asked the costumer. The costumer looks at the producer who's sitting there with a girlfriend half his age. The answer is no. No. So I say, do we have a hairdryer? No, not enough electricity. I say, all right. So they shake the gloves out, they blow on them. I do my preparation, I think about how much I want to kill these people. I rush into the scene, I can't get the gloves off. Yeah, I'm yanking them, I'm biting with my hands. I'm thinking about how are we going to cut this scene? It's one shot, it's going to be 5 minutes long, right? Finally, I get them off. I turn to my wife in the scene, and I say, to the scene, look, I can't get it off my hands. I look down, and the dye from the gloves are all over my hands. I have black hands. So she says, I should dye my hair with it. I'm saying, yeah, sure, cut. So anyway, I tell the AD, I say, come over here. I said, I take about $80 I had in cash. I take it out of my pockets. I say, here, go, run, get another pair of gloves, right away. Another small film I did, which hasn't been released yet, I had to perform a complicated disco dance while I delivered a long speech. I was costumed in a typical form-fitting, tight disco outfit, and I had to be mic'd under the costume. Now, usually they have elastic belts with a pouch in it where you put your battery into, and there's a Velcro closure to hold it in place. Well, the sound man didn't have one of those. He just has an ace bandage, which he wraps around my thigh and my waist, and he takes a safety pin and he puts it right under my buttocks to fasten it. So I said to the guy, you know, I have to dance, right? I have to do half splits, right? Yeah, I saw the rehearsal. Don't worry. I say, you have no tape? No. All right, okay, all right, sure. Action. I do the dance. I do the half split. The pin goes right in my ass. I do my best Martha Graham contraction like this. Cut. I call the sound man over. I say, you, come over here. I pull my pants down. The pin is in my ass. I said, here's $20. Go buy some tape, a clip, some Velcro, and some alcohol to clean my ass. I take the pin out, I give it to him. Low budget. Always carry cash. A wad of cash. It's hard to make a good film, and it's even harder when you have no money. Yet as we see this year and throughout history, it's been done, from Renoir to Rossellini, who spawned the neo-realist, Visconti, De Sica, Rossi, and of course Fellini, to Wells, to Bergman, to Truffaut, to Cassavetes, to Peckinpah, to Scorsese, to the filmmakers gathered here today, it's been done. One of the first independent films I remember seeing was John Cassavetes' Husbands. It was on television one late Saturday night, and I sat there watching it with my younger brother, Nicholas, who's here today. And I remember us dying laughing at these three men in the film and not really having any idea that what we were laughing at. All I know, and all I knew, that it had something to do with me. The characters were unpredictable, idiotic, and confused by love. It was like watching my own family. I remember thinking, someone knows, thank God, we're not alone. When people talk about films today, the first thing that pops out is, did it make money? How much did it gross? You rarely hear, what did you think? Did it affect you? Did it leave you with anything? What they're talking about is money, not film. Now, there's nothing wrong with monetary success, but when gross alone is equated with success, when it becomes the sole criterion, it degrades some of our greatest artists. Jean Renoir's Rules of the Game was a commercial failure when it came out, as was Citizen Kane, Sweet Smell of Success, and Raging Bull, among others. I've met people in this business who talk about Raging Bull. A masterpiece, my favorite film, I watch it every week. Yet they never produce it, they never even think to try to produce it, but they love it. It's like loving your wife, but never sleeping with her. We live in a time in which we found the lowest common denominator, money. This room is filled with young, independent filmmakers who have made their first or second film, each of which is stamped with their personal imprint. As they continue to develop an outlook, as they struggle to open a window on some unknown landscape, they will be asked, they will be tempted, now that you've done your personal thing, now that you've gotten that out of your way, what do you really want to do? Don't you want to make the films I want you to make? Don't you want more people to see your films? Yeah. But see what? That's the question we all have to ask ourselves. To look, to be able to see, the artist has to be aware of the world he or she is living in. Roberto Rossellini once said, if the artist can't, in some sense, act as a guide to point the way, if he is unable to take his bearings and say, today, at this point in time, these are our horizons, then the function of the artist disappears. His function is to clarify things. I personally believe when artists give of themselves, they bring their knowledge to life and make it comprehensible to everyone. It's what's known as civilization, despite what Newt Gingrich might say. We live in a crazy world. We're bombarded by images, invaded by information. What do they tell us? Mostly they fill us with anxiety. There was an incident last year in New York. A man by the name of Colin Ferguson got on the Long Island Railroad, a train that my family and I have ridden our whole lives. He stood on the train with an automatic weapon, loaded with ammunition, killing 6 people and wounding 19 others. A year later in court, he refused to use a lawyer, choosing instead to defend himself, acting the part of a lawyer as he watched other actors do on television, interrogating witnesses who he had shot and maimed, asking them, "So, after the accused shot you, you closed your eyes, did you not?" And the witnesses replied, yeah. After you shot me, I closed my eyes, so you wouldn't shoot me again. Uh-huh. So you pretended you were dead. Yeah, right. So you wouldn't shoot me again. Your Honor, may I see the weapon? No, Mr. Ferguson, no, you may not. I like to see it. I like to see it. No, this is one of the problems, Mr. Ferguson, when a defendant represents himself. After watching this farce with my mouth open, I thought, this is beyond theater of the absurd. This is beyond anything I've ever seen. This is the world we live in. How does one even attempt to reflect on such a thing? Most people run away. They stay off the trains for a while, they stop watching the news, they move as far away as they can possibly go. Escape. Escape is the goal. The question becomes, do you disassociate yourself from humanity? Most commercial films of today support this. This is what we see, a refusal to look at the world, an escape, an evasion, basically decadence. We go to the cinema and we see the same story over and over again, aimed at 10-year-olds. Well, I'm a person too. I want to be aimed at too. We see the same false solutions. Fellini said, when you show a true problem and then resolve it, the spectator is beguiled into feeling that the problems in his own life too will solve themselves, and he can stop working on them for himself. By giving happy endings to films, you goad your audience into going on living in a trite, bland manner, because they are now sure that sometime, somewhere, something happy is going to happen to them, too, and without their having to do anything about it. Conversely, by not serving them the happy ending on a platter, you can make them think. You can remove some of that smug security. Then they'll have to find their own answers. To have faith to express what you know and have the courage to persist in the face of rejection, to trust your instincts and have the will to follow them, leads to discovery that comes from freedom, not formula. That's how originality is born. I've met people in this business who say to me, I'm going to make a lot of money and then I'm going to do what I want later on. The truth is, of course, they never do. Without realizing it, their ideals, their thoughts, their love becomes less and less a part of them. And once you lose all those things, you don't have anything. I like to conclude with a story that was told me, a story Roberto Rossellini used to tell. It was part of a sermon delivered by Saint Bernardino of Siena. It's short. One day, a peasant had gone to work in the fields and had brought along his son and a dog. He had left the child under a tree and the dog to watch over him and had set off to work. Upon his return, he had found his son with his throat cut open. The child had the mark of 2 teeth on his neck. The dog stood by the tree shaking all over. In a fit of rage, the peasant killed it. But after he had killed it, he noticed that on the child's body there was a large snake, which had obviously killed the child while the dog had tried to defend him. The peasant, feeling sorry for the innocent dog, whose name was Benino, buried it under the tree and wrote an epitaph on its grave that said, "Here lies Benino, unjustly killed by the rage of man." As time went by, the people who passed by the grave would stop, and not knowing that Benino was a dog, pray on his grave. And so Benino started making miracles. Indeed, so many that one day the people of the area decided to build a church in which they meant to bury the bones of this Benino. As they were transferring the bones of the presumed saint, they realized it was a dog. St. Bernardino used to conclude his sermon by saying that what mattered most was what was in the soul of the people who went to the saint in faith, and not the fact that the saint was a dog. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Harvey Keitel, very serious. Roger Ebert. Guys who won the thing for Hoop Dreams. Samuel Jackson pretty much reads. John Turturro, articulate, hysterical, insightful, engaging. Big Glass. Never, ever do a award show with John Turturro. Now. It's time, of course, for the FINDY, Friends of Independence Award. Here to present is a man who produced and co-wrote Eat, Drink, Man, Woman. Yes, you're allowed to applaud that film if you'd like. We have some of the cast and crew here from that film. A Taiwanese delegate, where are they? Wohen Shiwan Zobu Dianne. I just told them that turnaround is a good thing. Joel Silver's a soft-spoken man, and later you'll meet Mike Ovitz. He's the caterer. Now then, the FINDY acknowledges individuals and organizations who have shown themselves to be preeminent in the support of their independent filmmaking community. Here now is that man, and where the hell is his name? Is he ready? Yes, good. John Seamus, please welcome John Seamus.
It's a pleasure to be invited back to the Spirit Awards. I call them the Supreme Soviet of self-congratulation ceremonies. And I'm here to be handing out the vaguely, though inexplicably obscene-sounding FINDY Award. I told my mother I was giving Sam a FINDY this afternoon. She said, be safe. Sam Goldwyn Jr., as his last name more than implies, is Hollywood royalty. Born with the golden Rolodex, but Sam chose not so much to abdicate his throne as to find his own unique path toward independence and integrity and self-congratulation. He and his eponymous outfit have been with the independent movement from the beginning. Think of Stranger Than Paradise, and on to Wild at Heart, Go Fish, last year's Big Loser at the Independent Spirit Awards, the Wedding Banquet, and Henry Part 5, King George III, Henry V. You get a sense of a career that hit maximum speed at the start gate and isn't showing any signs of slowing down now. Sam is a gentleman whose pride extends over the remarkable group of people he has gathered at his company and who adore him. And sure, his films get nominated for lots of Academy Awards, like every independent film seems to be getting these days. But Sam also produced the Academy Awards when that sideshow used to have some real class. Just like the stars of my other favorite Goldwyn production, American Gladiators. Yes, it pays the rent, come on, you know. Sam knows how to dodge those slings and arrows and wiffle balls of independent life. He is the American Gladiator of independent film. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome a guy who still calls movies pictures the silver fox of independence, Sam Goldwyn.
Thank you, Jim, not John. I'm very flattered to accept this award on behalf of not only myself, but of the Samuel Goldwyn Company, because we're a team. I think you all know how much we care about independent pictures. And in line with that, I'm pleased to announce, as you know, these tables are $10,000 apiece. And I've been informed by the Independent Spirit people that all of the money collected today will go for the startup and completion of independent pictures. Isn't that wonderful? I can't think of any other organization that would do that with such good spirit, and they're going to kill me for saying this. Seriously, though, much has been said about independent pictures today, some rather lengthy, some rather short. They're going to continue. There will always be independent pictures. But kid yourself not, this current boom that the studios are showing on behalf of independent pictures will be short-lived if those pictures are not successful. Because, kid yourself not, the studios are not independent filmmakers. They are large corporations, multinational, only interested in the bottom line. You are the spirit of that future that will keep pictures alive. You are the writers, directors, producers, and actors. And that is a very sacred trust, because the studios, when this independent boom is over, and it will be over, will start be looking very shortly at interactive, because Hollywood, unfortunately, only copies. And when three guys can raise over $1 billion in about 6 days, that's where the future is going to be for the studios. So you have a flame, and to keep that flame alive lies on your necks. And while people will tell you, don't make films that are going to be successful, because that's part of the so-called spirit, make films that will be successful, because your pictures can entertain people. Look at pictures like Four Weddings and a Funeral, an independent picture. Look at films like Pulp Fiction, an independent film. And there's a lot of them out there that are being made by bright, imaginative young writers, directors, and producers. So guys, go at it. Spend that money from the independent film spirit well, and go at it. Thank you very much.
The principal has left the building. This close to wearing that tie. Here's the thing. I'm slamming everybody, baby. At this point, many of you are wondering, hey, where the hell's Buck Henry? This Pollak putz blows. For you, we have this Buck Henry fix. Roll it now, please.
And here it is, the Independent Spirit Award itself. The Independent Spirit Award statue, designed by Carol Bosselman, symbolizes the independent spirit. This bronze sculpture, and I'm quoting now, features an abstract bird symbolizing the independent filmmaker taking flight from atop a classical column representing the classical Hollywood studio system. Clutched in the talons of the bird of independence are entwined shoestrings in the shape of pieces of film, an allegory, yes, an allegory, about the budgets within which independent filmmakers must work. Or you might think of it as representing one of the escaped Disney studio experimental cost-cutting message service homing falcons, flying backwards for secrecy and carrying the latest microfilmed leveraged buyout offer from a Japanese media consortium to the cleverly disguised false Greco-Roman mail drop outside of the CAA garage.
And now, I had the pleasure of introducing an actor that I, along with Gabriel Byrne, worked on with in this film, The Usual Suspects. He's pretty inspiring to work with. It's one of those earn while you learn deals. And it was a pleasure to work with him and know him. Please welcome Kevin Spacey.
Thank you very much. Kevin is right. We worked together in The Usual Suspects, and we had a marvelous time on this film, but as you've seen, Kevin is something of an impressionist. I did not know that John was, but we used to drive Gabriel Byrne nuts all through the shooting, because Kevin does a great Johnny Carson impression, and I've done one myself, and so every day all through shooting, we just sort of stand around and we do Johnny. And nobody cared, as they don't hear, but
We used to drive Gabriel nuts, and Gabriel wanted to learn how to do Carson. So every night, Gabriel would go home and he'd work on this. He'd stand in front of the mirror going, "Oh yes, that's funny, funny stuff." He never got it right. I feel sorry for you, Gabriel, but keep working on it. This year, you know, we've talked about how great the year has been for independent film, but they've actually given me the numbers to prove it. There were 120 submissions this year to the Independent Spirit Awards, 29 of which were nominated, which is the most in the 10-year history of the Independent Spirit Awards. And also what was very encouraging was there was such new talent on display. There were so many rookies who stepped up to bat and really hit one out of the park that the IFP felt the need to recognize that. So this year, for the first time, there are two new categories: Best Debut Performance and Best First Screenplay. So congratulations to those of you who've started a new trend this year. And the range of work this year, it really spanned the globe. It was rather amazing. It took us from the mean streets of the Bronx through suburbia and rural Maine, all the way as far as Taiwan and Red China, Latin America, Spain. And the subject matters that these films dealt with were difficult and challenging, ranging from child abuse, schizophrenia, incest, and those were just the comedies, and that old standby murder. And as usual, the IAP staff has assembled highlights from this year's nominated films. So it's my pleasure to introduce to you a little taste of this year's best.
I like it like that.
Okay,
Ay,
how
pero
do I
no
look?
sé.
What?
Well, you've got back, baby, and your face is beat down, but you're missing something.
Alexis,
I'm gonna lend you my
thank you
tits, and you're
so
lucky that I'm your
much.
sister, okay?
I owe you.
Aye, don't get happy and be quick about it, okay? Now I'm gonna show you how to walk, right?
I know how to
Ready?
walk,
No, you
Grace.
don't know how to walk, Grace. Watch. Wow. Pose. Move. Feel it. Wow. Yes, that's it. Work it, girl. Feel it. Yes, you better go, Latin Cindy Crawford, like
I
that.
could be a model.
No, you are a model.
I
See,
am
yo
a
soy
model.
una modelo.
Yo soy una modela.
The beautiful and irrepressible Dorothy Parker.
Miss Parker, this is Will Rogers.
I never liked a man I didn't meet.
Everyone wanted to know what was on Mrs. Parker's mind,
Oh, dear, dear. Is the subject in danger of turning to sex?
but no one ever guessed what was in her heart.
I fall in love with married men, but I do it on purpose. I drink too much, and that's because I'm thirsty.
Oh, Mrs. Parker, I suppose it didn't work.
Suppose it did. And I write doodads because it's a doodad kind of town.
You can get by now.
It's a fancy car. Was that Warren's?
Mine.
How come it ain't American?
Warren says it's the best car for around here.
Right. I'm sure he must know.
How's Arlene?
She's okay.
Should be nicer to her.
I don't remember asking your opinion.
You're gonna die young, dear boy.
Yeah, well, it's got to be better when you're dead, right?
I always felt that I could make up for something, and I did. It isn't my fault Tommy left. You chased him away. He wanted to be a farmer, but you chased him away.
Frankie told me you wanted to see me.
Look, maybe we should do this some other time, huh?
No. You got a lot of balls sending somebody to my father's house. My father is a sick man.
You know something, Ralphie, by the way you're acting here, it looks to me like the acorn doesn't fall too far from the tree. And you're the one with the big balls. And maybe a little bad attitude to go with it.
My bad fucking attitude is my business, and so are my fucking balls. And I don't really care if you like either one. How do you like that?
Her name is Starlene Cheatham. I'm Waddy Watts.
We specialize in risk management.
So, what have you kids been up to today?
Well, we killed 2 cops on the way over here, and we got married, and we saw ourselves on TV for the first time.
Well, looks like the only thing you didn't lie about is your marriage.
It's not what you think. I can explain. It was Wayne. I had nothing to do with it. One day he comes home and says, pack your bags. The next thing I know, I'm on the FBI's most wanted list. What am I supposed to do, Michael? He's my husband. I was in love with him. There's supposed to be $500,000 in that safe. He must have moved it. We can find it, Michael. We can be together. We can go to Mexico.
Fuck Mexico!
You're early.
I guess.
I hope you like seafood.
Just the word seafood. It gives me the creeps. But I had a very high tolerance to pain.
Cool. You know that I was attracted to you because I thought you were a writer? Yeah, don't remind me. The things I've done.
Like what?
You want some coffee?
When we met, it was like a door open. It's like something important was finally happening here. And we did more in that day than most people do in their whole lifetime. Why? I told you 50 times. Fun is the only thing that I believe in. If something isn't fun, you don't do it. People who shit on their kids are not gonna stop. Something makes them do it. Everybody knows it's wrong, but they do it anyway.
Can I get you a cup of tea?
Just because I enjoyed it doesn't mean I didn't know it was wrong.
Just watching the world pass you by. I think as long as you ain't drowning, everything's all right.
New York City.
If I had me $1 million, I'd give me a Porsche 959.
Well, who cares? Because you ain't never gonna have $1 million anyway.
You get bigger, you're gonna be the man. And a boy who's about to learn that survival means saying nothing.
That's right! Playing each piece like losing it hurts. You want my king. You got to come get my king. All these other pieces are just a means to do it. You ready for the real thing? You ready to come get it? You ready to be the king?
What is everyone talking about? I don't understand. I don't know what it means. I don't know what it means to be here. You tell me I'm intelligent, and then you tell me I should not be here. I don't understand. What do you mean? Who should I listen to?
Easy.
Do you know what you've worked for? Power.
What have I done to you?
Hello, Nicole.
Who are you?
I'm your father. You remember me? My name's Peter. Your grandmother Gladys is my mother. You always play by yourself.
Sometimes.
Well, maybe we could play together.
So, you left the children alone in the room.
Hang on.
You locked the door, and then you gave the key to Sarah, who lives in the house.
No, I did not give the key to Sarah. I gave the key to Jill. Jill with a J, not Sarah.
Jill doesn't recall you giving her the key.
God, you're not fucking listening. I gave the key to Jill. I gave the key to Jill, not Sarah.
Jill! Just chill out, honey bunny. All right, now tell her it's gonna be all right. It's gonna be all right. Promise her. I promise. Tell her to chill. Just chill out, honey bunny. All right, now tell me your name. Yolanda. All right, now Yolanda. We're not gonna do anything stupid, are we? Don't you hurt him. Nobody's gonna hurt anybody. We're all gonna be like three little Fonzies here. And what's Fonzie like? Come on, Yolanda, what's Fonzie like? It's cool. What? Cool. Correctamundo. And that's what we're gonna be. We're gonna be cool.
How is it that we know who we are? We might wake up in the night, disoriented, and wonder where we are. We may think perhaps that we have lived through what we just dreamed of. Or we may wonder if we are now still dreaming. But we never wonder, who am I? Because our knowledge of who we are is the richest, most stable, and most complex memory structure we have. They are the structures which connect us to our pasts and allow us to imagine our futures. To lose those connections would be a sign of pathology, a pathology called amnesia. But it makes no sense to begin the story here without its history, its past. So, let me take you back to a time before identity has been confused.
What happens when the story dies? The evil is set free. Now that the films have ended, the genie's out of the bottle. That's what the nightmares are telling me, and that's what I'm writing.
This is still a script we're talking about, right, Wes?
We've decided to cross over out of films into our reality. The only way to stop him is to make another movie.
Oh, my God.
Please, proceed with your statement.
I don't know you. I've never seen you before in my life. I don't know what it is you think I've done. Obviously, she's insane. She's not responsible for what she does, but you're a lawyer. If you don't stop this right now, you're an accomplice. You're going to have to pay the price.
Oh. You threatening?
I'm not.
Yes, you were. Let me make this clear. The time for people like you making threats is over. Huh? Out there, maybe you bastards are still running things behind the scenes, but in here, I'm in charge.
Look, she just got out of the hospital. Who's going to take care of her?
Well, there's got to be somebody.
It's not the end of the world.
I think I'm gaining weight.
Taking good care of your mother, Raymond?
Raymond!
Good morning.
Raymond, please! Hamburgers are ready. Come on, before they get cold. Can I do anything around here?
Clerks. You're a clerk, paid to do a job. You can't just do anything you want while you're working.
What kind of convenience store do you run here?
This job would be great if it wasn't for the customers.
I don't bother them, and they don't bother me.
I could do without the people in the video store.
Do you have that one with that guy who was in that movie that was out last year?
You should hear the barrage of stupid questions I get.
What do you mean there's no ice? You mean I gotta drink this coffee hot?
You'd feel a hell of a lot better if you just rip into the occasional customer.
You hate people.
But I love gatherings. Isn't it ironic?
Since he was a child, the music Glenn Gould heard in his head was perfect. So he spent his life trying to let others hear it as he did.
在祖国
和平的土地上，生活天天向上升。青年人怀着远大的理想，老年人越活越年轻。我们工人劳动最热情，生产纪律日日新。农民已经组织起来，年年都是好收成。我们热爱和平，从不侵略别人。
Red. A beautiful woman enters the world of a stranger. A man whose secret will lead her into a mystery, and whose past is inexplicably linked to her destiny.
Whatever happens inside the walls of this orphanage is to stay inside the walls of this orphanage. That is a sacred rule. A rule more sacred than any rule you will ever hear!
The story of three sisters looking for a recipe for romance, and their father, one of the world's great chefs, trying to understand the ingredients. In this family, if you can't cope, you can always cook. Three women with a taste for life, and Dad just trying to stay on the menu. One part laughter, one part passion, with a dash of intrigue, honor, and adventure mixed in.
I just want to find a girlfriend and have there be no catches, no glitches, no booby traps. The girl you're gonna meet doesn't look like anyone you know. And when you meet her, your toes might tingle or you might suppress a yawn.
You want some tea or something?
Sure, that'd be great. Wow, you have a lot of tea.
How long do you think it'll be before they consummate? It's gonna be at least 2 or 3 more dates.
2 or 3 more dates? What is this, the lesbian Gandhi?
I just hope this isn't gonna be one of those unrequited love stories.
Linda Fiorentino is Bridget, and Bridget is bad. Bad to the bone.
You have your own place?
Yes.
Is it a sty?
No, it's clean.
Do you have indoor plumbing? You, me, $3 million.
And all I have to do is kill someone while you go apartment hunting? Maybe it's my quaint small-town morals, but I don't do murder.
Yeah, well, you would if you loved me.
Murder is commitment?
Yeah, when I've done it and you haven't, it is.
You better run!
Why do you act in an ordinary way? You drink, you gamble.
Do I?
Please stop. You said that we work not to create, but to destroy gifts that are given from above. So why do you do it? You don't have to do it. Please don't drink. Please.
I won't drink.
You won't drink anymore?
No.
Give me your word of honor.
I give it.
Thank you.
Basta.
I'm an artist, and I won't change a word of my play to pander to some commercial Broadway audience.
Now, let me tell you something, kid. That's the real world out there. And it's a lot rougher place than you think.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
We can do the play.
What? When? How?
A single backer going for the whole show.
What type of firm is it, Nick?
So don't stick your nose in other people's business and it won't get broken.
charmed.
She's a great little actress, you know. She used to wiggle at this joint in Hoboken, you know? Pick up quarters off the table. That's with her.
I have a confession to make, Alan.
No, don't speak. Don't speak. Don't speak. No, silence.
To be or not to be. That's the way it goes. Shut up and read.
Shut up.
You shut up and read.
No, don't speak. Don't speak.
The monkey glands are working.
I think maybe I'll go and check into a sanitarium and get the help that I need. And we'll talk later because it's been good.
Don't tell me you still think the world revolves around
You?
you.
I don't think her spinal cord touches her brain.
It's an assignment that will require a lot of diplomacy and tact. I'm really surprised it gave to you.
You can't say Americans are not more violent than other people.
No.
All those people killed in shootings in America?
Oh, shootings. Yes, but that doesn't mean Americans are more violent than other people. We're just better shots.
I think it's true that they hide that the sexual revolution is over. I don't go to bed with just anyone anymore. I have to be attracted to them sexually.
But I always thought that women had to have some kind of profound emotional bond with a man before they became interested in a relation of that kind.
Oh, no.
I don't think anti-Americanism is really all that significant a phenomenon. It's really nothing to take personally.
But you seem very intelligent for an American.
Well, I'm not.
Time of the afternoon has come for some cappuccino. I don't know about you. To present cinematography, two major participants in the independent film world as of late. Although we discovered him as La Bamba, and she's still Hamina. Rosanna Arquette and Lou Diamond Phillips.
The nominees for Best Cinematography are Greg Gardiner for his striking black and white treatment of Suture.
Alexander Gruzinski, who caught the syncopated life of the Bronx in I Like It Like That.
Stephen Larner, who captured stark beauty in The Beans of Egypt, Maine.
Zhong Lin, who photographed telling detail in Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
And John Thomas, whose elegant compositions graced Barcelona.
And the Spirit Award goes to... First one up and... Ah! There it is. I thought it folded. John Thomas, Barcelona. All the winners all the way in the back, so they have to walk up front. And then it's crazy.
Boy. I'd like to thank some of the people who contributed to the look of this film. Chris Tellefson, the editor, Edie Jaguar, wardrobe designer, Chema Botinez, production designer, also photo film and service vision in Barcelona, Eastman Kodak, and Technicolor in New York. I'd like to thank our terrific Spanish crew for their hard work and kind hospitality. I'd like to thank Whit Stillman for his unique vision and his loyalty. My wife Betsy and our boys Jack and Will for their patience and understanding. And finally, I'd like to thank the IFP and all of you who support independent film. Thanks a lot.
All righty. Ovitz is going to make it. Good. Airplane overhead. Stephen Dorff will next be seen in Halcyon. By the way, I love your golf videos. I like that one. And he's presenting the first screenplay And with him to present this, of course, is the #1 answer to the question, who's your favorite Judd, Ashley Judd, and Stephen Dorff.
And who's your favorite basketball team? Not UCLA, the Kentucky Wildcats.
The nominees for Best First Screenplay are Paul Zera for the Gothic drama Blessing,
Kevin Smith for Clerks, a hilarious no-budget look at New Jersey slacker life.
James Bosley for Fun, a searing portrait of right and wrong,
David O. Russell for Spanking the Monkey, a 90s suburban answer to Life Without Mother, or Life with Mother. I never saw that, I'm too young.
and Tom Noonan for What Happened Was, a story of incest and cannibalism on a first date.
And the Spirit Award for Best First Screenplay goes to, you'd think that like he and I together we'd be cool, but we're both really nervous. David Russell.
Thank you very much. There's a lot of well-written independent films this year, so I feel honored. And I'd like to thank Janet and Dean and Jeremy, Alberta, and Carla for their great performances, and everybody who made this real cheap movie. Thank you very much.
That was first screenplay. Now we have, of course, the Spirit Award for Screenplay. The two presenters, Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth, of course, did some amazing work in Pulp Fiction, without question. Pulp Fiction, a wonderful film, of course, that brings a huge box office star like Bruce Willis to the brink of anal sex, and then has Christopher Walken explain the rectum as a wonderful hiding place. But here first is now Amanda Plummer and Tim Roth.
Hello.
Hello. Right. Oh, nominees for the best screenplay are Woody Allen and Doug McGrath for Bullets Over Broadway,
Wheelie Wang, James Seamus, and Ong Lee for Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
Alan Rudolph and Randy Sue Coburn for Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle,
Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction.
and John Dahl and Rick Dahl for Red Rock West.
And the Spirit Award goes to... I love it. His hands are shaking.
Really nervous.
Quentin Tarantino for Pulp Fiction.
And Roger Avary. It wasn't on the thing. Sorry, Roger. You owe me a job.
Hi, everybody. I don't know if I'm going to win anything else, so I'm going to say everything I was going to say here, and if I win something else, I'm not going to say anything except thank you. So if I win, it's a real quick night, all right, on everything else. The one thing I just wanted to say with all this talk about studio, non-studio, independent, studio, money, no money, box office, no box office, blah, 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 all that stuff, is it was very interesting. I had a very kind of an interesting experience just as we were in beginning pre-production on Pulp Fiction. And that was the fact that True Romance was coming out. all right? And I had said that I would like, go through the whole press junket and everything and do the press for it and whatever. And like they had been having all these market research screenings for True Romance, which was done by a big studio. It was done by Warner Brothers. All right, and I think it was Warner Brothers. Yeah, okay, it was Warner Brothers. And like the audiences were flipping out and everyone was talking about how good the movie was and this and that and the other. And I'm like thinking, wow, this is great, And then I saw the movie and I liked it and I go, well, this is a real audience picture, You show this to an audience, they're gonna like enjoy it. Then True Romance opens and like doesn't do very well, all right? There's like, drastically less like than they thought in their opening week, all right? And then it goes down the next week, all right? And then like I think ended up topping out making $12 million and it cost, I don't know, $12.5 million. I don't know what but the thing is, it just didn't do well, all right? After all this publicity and everything. And I remember thinking to myself, well, shit. I guess I just don't make audience pictures. I guess my audience is very small, and that's just the fact of life. That's just that, I'll never hit with a big audience. And right at the same time, Jane Campion was kicking fucking ass, all right, with the piano. All right, it was doing well. Harvey Keitel means as much as Jack Nicholson overseas because of the piano. Okay. And then I remember talking to Harvey Weinstein and thinking to myself, basically, well, if Jane Campion can do what Jane Campion does and find a big audience, well, I guess the thing is to just keep on doing what I do, and either it will or it won't, but that's not to be decided. And Pulp Fiction found that audience. And I guess the number one thing I just want to say is don't change it for anything else other than just do what you want to do. And either it'll find an audience or it won't. That won't be your fault. That's not your fucking problem, all right? The problem, that has nothing to do with you. The thing is, do what you do. And I guess that's what I got to say. Thank you very much.
I really have nothing nearly as profound to say other than this probably would not fit up my butt as well as an Oscar would, but this means just as much to me, so thank you very much.
I'll be selling this later. I'm sure there's got to be some other rectal references coming at you tonight. It's going to happen. Deal with it, embrace it before it kills you. But now, to introduce supporting male, which we all love. He, of course, acting, directing, a great deal of work in the last few years. In fact, a new film coming out that he directed from his father's screenplay about the Black Panthers is, of course, entitled Panthers. And she is pretty much stealing hearts with Before Sunrise and Killing Zoe. Julie Delpy and Mario Van Peebles.
Yeah, so the nominees for Best Supporting Male are Giancarlo Esposito as Esteban, the chilling drug dealer in Fresh.
Chazz Palminteri as Cheech in Bullets Over Broadway.
Larry Pine for his performance as Dr. Astroff, the haunted physician in Vanya on 42nd Street.
Eric Stoltz as Lance, the layback drug dealer in Pulp Fiction.
And Nicholas Turturro as Ralph, the kinky housebreaker in Federal Hill.
And the Spirit Award goes to Chazz Palminteri for Bullets Over Broadway.
Well, first I'd like to thank the Independent Spirit Awards for the committee for giving me this award. I'd like to thank, excuse me, the cast and crew of Bullets Over Broadway, the Miramax brothers for doing such a great job distributing it, Harvey and Bob, who are not only movie studio heads, they're lovers, they're film lovers, and I really want to applaud them for the way they handle movies. I think we should give them a round of applause. I'd like to thank Woody and Doug McGrath for writing such a great script, for Woody for his brilliant directing, for letting me and everyone else in the cast be free to try things and to do different things, for Carlo De Palma for his great cinematography, which I really thought got overlooked, and I just want to say a special thanks to Carlo, for the cast, Dianne Wiest and Jennifer Tilly and John Cusack, who I had so much fun with, who's such a terrific actor, Jack Warden, Jim Broadbent, Tracy Ullman. It was like going to a Broadway play every day, and it was such a wonderful time appearing with these people. To my lovely wife, Gianna, and to my baby that's coming soon, and to my mom and dad, and especially to my dad, who said the saddest thing in life is wasted talent, so I'm glad I made good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Chazz also in The Usual Suspects. God bless him. Way to go, Chazz. Best Supporting Female will be presented to you by two of the stars of a, well, she's a star of Little Women, of course. One of the stars. There are so many fabulous actresses in that movie. And he has two films coming out, that's it, Copycat and How to Make an American Quilt. Here are Samantha Mathis and Dermot Mulroney.
These are the nominees for the Most Supportive Female.
Best Supporting Female.
Oh, yeah. V.S. Brody as Eli, the commitment-phobic lesbian in Go Fish.
Carla Gallo as Tony Peck, the analysis-crazy girlfriend in Spanking the Monkey.
Also Kelly Lynch as Roberta, the sultry object of desire in Beans of Egypt, Maine.
Brooke Smith for her portrayal of the lovesick Sonia in Vanya on 42nd Street.
And Dianne Wiest for her performance as the outrageous Grande Dame in Bullets Over Broadway.
And the Spirit Award goes to Don't Speak, Dianne Wiest.
Oh gosh, well, this is just amazing. Oh, I can't say what I've written because it just doesn't seem to apply. Thank you, first of all, the Independent Spirit Awards for giving me this. I just stand up here in many, many, many people's debt. And I guess I just have to name them. So, first of all, to my loyal friend Woody Allen, who just gave me a gift with this role. He just handed me a gift. And to Doug McGrath, who's such a wonderful writer. To Chazz and Jennifer, to dear John Cusack, and all the cast and all the crew. the magic of Carlo De Palma's lighting. Chazz, I think I'm giving your speech again. And to be in Jeffrey Kurland's costumes. It's also a great comfort to be represented and taken care of by a mother tiger called Tracy Jacobs and a pussy cat called Sam Cohn. And I thank Bob and Harvey Weinstein very, very much, and Miramax, and Bobby Greenhut, and Jean Demanian. My mom, my dad, wish they could be here, my brothers, Greg and Don, my extended family, and my 2 daughters, Emily and Lily. Thanks very much. Thank you.
Without sounding a bit didactic, I thought Dianne was extremely talented in the speech. Yes, but more importantly, I forgot to tell you that Dermot Mulroney's band, Sweet and Low Orchestra, will be performing at the fabulous party that's happening afterwards at the Barker Hangar, Santa Monica Airport. So don't miss that, please. The next category, foreign film. This is pretty cool because growing up I thought that's what independent films were. But it turns out they have their own category at the Independent Film Awards. Mimi Rogers, you can see in Bulletproof Heart and Reflections on a Crime. And he, of course, is soon to be seen in The Cure. Please welcome the extremely gifted Mimi Rogers and Bruce Davison.
Before we get started, I just want to take a moment to remember a great independent filmmaker from Canada that we lost this year, much too soon. Philip Borsos won an Academy Award nomination for his documentary Nails. He went on to make The Gray Fox, The Mean Season, Bethune, and Mimi and I had a chance to get to know him and love him and work with him this year. He will be missed. Anyway, the nominees for the Best Foreign Film are Blue Kite, Tien Zhuang's compelling look at China's cultural revolution through the eyes of a working-class family. Tien Zhuang, producer.
The Boys of St. Vincent, John N. Smith's epic examination of sexual abuse in a church-run orphanage. Claudio Luca and Sam Grana, producers.
Lady Bird, Ken Loach's heartbreaking study of a misfit single mother. Sally Hibben, producer.
Red, the final film in Krzysztof Kieslowski's acclaimed Three Colors trilogy, focuses on the chance encounters that connect our lives. Marin Karmitz and Gerard Rouet, producers.
32 short films about Glenn Gould, Francois Girard's kaleidoscopic biography of one of the greatest musicians of the 20th century, Niv Fitchman, producer.
And the Spirit Award goes to Red, Marin Karmitz and Gerard Rouet.
Woo. I will speak a little in English. I apologize for my English, which is not very good. So in the name of Krzysztof Kieslowski and our partners, MK2 Production, Marin Karmitz, and Tor Film, Christophe Zanussi, we are very, very happy and honored to receive this award. Red is the last installment of this extraordinary adventure that was a production of the trilogy Three Colors, Blue, White, and Red. This European co-production was truly exemplary at all levels. It gave to each of the partners, in spirit of our cultural differences, the possibility of offering its competence and its commitment to one of the greatest directors of the last 20 years, Krzysztof Kieslowski. And I will thank you, all of you. Thank you.
I feel like I would be betraying my comedic brethren if I didn't somehow make this voice now. My son Philippe goes into the water. To avoid the blowfish. Best debut performance, something we'd all like to win, is the next category. To present this, Loris, I love these people because both names you really need help pronouncing, and that's such a part of show business now. My name has been misspelled on posters and trailers. The lawsuits abound. Laura San Giacomo is, by the way, how you say it. Now, Giacomo, relax. Giacomo. She'll be seen in Nina Takes a Lover, or has been seen. Yeah. And James LeGros. We should get that guy back up here to say these names, perhaps. In Floundering. Here they are to present Best Debut Performance. Please welcome them now.
Hi. The nominees for Best Debut Performance are Jeff Anderson for his portrayal as Randall in Clerks,
Jeremy Davies as Ray in Spanking the Monkey,
Sean Nelson for his performance as Fresh in Fresh,
Alicia Witt as Bonnie in Fun,
and Renee Zellweger as Starlene in Love and a 45.
and the Spirit Award goes to Sean Nelson.
Paper out. Well, I'd like to thank God, my mother and father, my family, and I'd also like to thank Boaz Yatkins, Doug Abel, Lawrence Bender, Randy Ostro, Giancarlo Esposito, Sam Jackson, Nebuchadnezzar Wright, Joanne Fregoletti Jansen, and the entire cast and crew of Fresh. I'd like to thank Miramax, Lola Louise, Donna Dickman, and Susan Novak. I'd like to thank John Shea, Ian Copeland, Karen, David, and everyone at Frontier Booking, and whoever else helped me get this award. All right.
I just love that it took a brother to get up here to thank God. That was the first time. I love that. Congratulations. The kid's marvelous in the film. I don't know how many of you have seen it. It's pretty amazing. Pretty damn amazing. Director. That's who we're honoring now. Oh, that's the sound of sphincter tightening, yes. Slipped it in. And now here to present the Spirit Award for Director. She, Dianne Ladd, just besides being a previous Spirit Award recipient, has completed her directorial debut with Mrs. Monk. Hope that's the correct information. And he, a good friend of mine, soon to be seen in Nadja. For Christ's sake, he's the father of Bridget, Mr. Independent fucking film himself, Peter Fonda, and Dianne Ladd.
Live free or die.
Sit, stay.
You go for it.
That's right, I do go for it. Here we go. It says almost. Does it mean, oh, Jamie, Eddie, well, the nominees for Best Director are John Dahl, who juggled an array of twists, reversals, and double crosses in Red Rock West.
Ang Lee, who dramatized the timeless clash between tradition and individuality in Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
Roman Polanski, whose mastery of suspense created chilling intensity in Death and the Maiden.
Alan Rudolph, who blended wit and pathos in his portrait of a bygone era, Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle.
And Power Jacket of the Day Award winner, Quentin Tarantino, who with his gallery of articulate gangsters created a brand new kind of film hero in Pulp Fiction.
And the Spirit Award goes to Quentin Tarantino.
Whoa, getting this from the Wild Angels is like too cool, I gotta tell you. That's all I was thinking. I was like, God, this is a reunion of the Wild Angels. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Other than thanking Bob and Harvey Weinstein and Richard Gladstein, I'm gonna keep true to what I said. I'm just gonna say thank you, and everything else, thank you very much.
Nice try, Hazel. You left me a bunch here. Best male lead. The moment you've been waiting for. A few of you. To present Best Male Lead, of course, is one of the stars of a new film called The Cure, Annabella Sciorra, another one of them great names, and Brendan Fraser, who will also be seen in Professional Man and The Passion of Darkly Noon. Here are Annabella and Brendan.
Good afternoon. Well, the nominees for Best Male Lead are Samuel L. Jackson for his performance as Jules Winfield, the hitman who dispenses fire, brimstone, and hot lead in Pulp Fiction.
Xiong Lung as Mr. Chu, the Taiwanese chef who confronts the erosion of traditional values in Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
William H. Macy as John, the professor engaged in a high-stakes verbal tug-of-war in Oleana.
Campbell Scott for his portrayal of Robert Benchley, the humorist with a serious responsibility to his best friend in Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle.
And John Cena for his performance as Chino Linares, the young father whose act of petty larceny sparks a life-altering chain of events in I Like It Like That.
The Spirit Award goes to Samuel L. Jackson.
Thank you. First of all, I need to thank the IFP for giving me this award. And next, I have to thank people in order. I have to thank my wife for telling me at one point during my acting career that I was a bloodless actor and I needed to get in touch with my emotions so I could communicate to people. And hopefully I've done that. Next, I'd like to thank Quentin for writing this role with me in mind and having that meal that told me he was going to do that and sending me the script. Next, I need to thank my managers, Julie Silverman, Eli Selden, and my agent, Carla Hacken, for calling the Weinstein brothers, Harvey and Bob, and the other producer, Danny DeVito, and Stacy Scher and Michael Schomburg when Lawrence and Quentin thought they might not want to use me in this role. And telling them that they had to let me audition for this role on an equal basis. Thank them for that. And I'd also like to thank that wonderful cast that was in Pulp Fiction that created the world that all of you fell in love with and made possible. And especially like to thank John Travolta for his friendship and his sharing, and Mr. Harvey Keitel for being such a wonderful wolf when he showed up to hang out with us. And I'd especially like to thank Tim and Amanda for making that diner scene everything that it could possibly be and sharing that space with me and becoming a truly ensemble. Thanks so very much.
We've come to the point where we're going to present one of these fine, fine trophies to the best female lead. And to do so, two presenters. He actually hosted this event and also helped to certainly publicize what it takes to get a film from notion to screen, he being Robert Townsend. He helped to put a lot of us, I think, on the map. And she will soon be seen in Don Juan DeMarco. More importantly, I was mesmerized, blown away, and frightened by her performance in the movie Network, where she had this exaggerated, over-the-top, insane network executive. It wasn't until I actually moved to Hollywood, took a few meetings, that I saw the subtleties of her performance. Faye Dunaway and Robert Townsend.
The first one to do it on credit cards.
Yes.
Isn't that right? So the nominees for Best Female Lead are Linda Fiorentino for her performance as Bridget Gregory, the coolest femme fatale since Diana Christensen, in The Last Seduction.
Jennifer Jason Leigh as Dorothy Parker, a writer whose wit masked a brittle soul in Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle.
Karen Sillis as Jackie, the brilliant author trapped in the body of a lonely secretary in What Happened Was.
Lauren Velez as Lisette Linares, a young mom who faces questions of family, fidelity, and career in I Like It Like That.
And Wu Qian Lien for her performance as Jia Qian, the rebellious airline executive in Eat, Drink, Man, Woman.
And the Spirit Award goes to...
Give me a break. Sorry about that. Linda Fiorentina for The Last Seduction.
Let's see. I've won a few critics awards. I'm in a couple of magazines this month. I have a job. I have a lot of job offers. And I haven't been laid in 3 months. So I was wondering if you don't mind me trading this in for a date with Gabriel Byrne. Let's see. I'd like to thank Steve Barancic for writing an incredible role for a female. He's a very nice man, but I do not want to meet his mother. I'd like to thank Peter Berg for allowing me to emasculate him each and every day on the set. Somehow he managed to maintain his dignity. Terry Dresbach for dressing me so well on a shoestring budget. Jeff Jur, the cinematographer, for making me look human on my 18th hour of work. My sisters, Terry and Rose, who hate flying, but they came here to be with me this week because I really miss them. My partners in media crime, Nancy Ryder and Julie Yeager. And last but not least, John Dahl, a great filmmaker, a great friend, a great man. He had more confidence in me than I'll ever have in myself. Thank you.
What the hell are you just sitting there for? What's the matter with you now? For Christ's sake. Did you not hear what she said? My God in heaven above already. Mm-hmm. Are you happy I invited you now? To present the Spirit Award for First Feature. She, not nominated today, but is nominated on Monday for her performance in Little Women. And he has an absolute gift and a face you immediately love when you see it on screen. Here's Winona Ryder and Lucas Haas. They'll both be seen soon in Boys, by the way.
Nominees for Best First Picture are Clean Shaven, directed by Lodge Kerrigan.
Clerks, Kevin Smith, director.
I Like It Like That, directed by Darnell Martin.
Spanking the Monkey, David O. Russell, director.
And Suture, directed by Scott McGee and David Siegel.
And the Spirit Award goes to David O. Russell.
Wow, I did not expect to be up here again. A lot of good films this year. Thank you very, very much. I can go on a little bit more at length, and I can thank the wonderful actors Jeremy Davies and Alberta Watson and Carla Gallo, who brought a very difficult story to life, and it was a real balancing act for them. You know, the story could have become maudlin, it could have become gratuitous at any turn, and they worked real hard to save it from that. And thank you for honoring such a difficult and odd film. I really appreciate it, and hope it will inspire me to make more difficult and odd films. Thank you.
So he won Best First Screenplay and First Feature. That's awfully... Hate him. To present Best Feature, we have two very distinguished and inspiring, spirited actors, or is. Mary McDonnell, soon to be seen in Joshua Tree, and Lawrence Fishburne can be seen in Just Cause and Higher Learning. Mary and Lawrence.
Hello. The nominees for Best Feature are Bullets Over Broadway, the hilarious demonstration that true artists come in all disguises. Robert Greenhunt, producer.
Eat, Drink, Man, Woman, a comic look at food, fatherhood, and family ties. Ted Hope, Lee Kong-shu, and James Seamus, producers.
Mrs. Parker and the Vicious Circle, a sober look at New York's drunken wits. Robert Altman, producer.
Pulp Fiction, a rock and roll portrait of the underworld's working stiffs. Lawrence Bender, producer.
And Wes Craven's New Nightmare, the king of horror's unleashing of Freddy on the real world. Mariana Madalena, producer.
And the Spirit Award goes to Pulp Fiction, Lawrence Bender, producer.
I get to keep this? First, I want to say I'm so thrilled for Sean back there. And Sam's agents didn't have to call everybody. We were just trying to make it hard on the guy, you know? We wanted to get him ready for that role. I want to say, first of all, it's really a thrill to be standing up here in front of Mr. Harvey Keitel. To be on the same podium that he was on. It was only about 4 years ago that I got this message on my machine from Harvey, and saying that he wanted to speak to me about this movie, Reservoir Dogs. And it's only 4 years later, and I'm standing up here in front of you guys, and thanks. Harvey's been a constant source of inspiration to Quentin and myself, and he's like an older brother. As we were coming in here, a lot of people were asking, you know, the question, you know, independent versus major, and you know, and what's the difference? And not to belabor a point that everyone's belabored, but I do feel that it's important just to remember that you know, you could have an independent movie and a major, you could have a movie made by committee and a formula financed by your uncle. It's not what matters. It's to have the courage of your own convictions, to have just to have the integrity of your own creative beliefs, not to second guess. And I think we're in such a great time right now in American cinema, and I'm really proud to be a part of it. These last few years have just I think, shown a lot of great, new, talented directors, and I'm thrilled to be a part of it. As I'm saying this, I'm thinking Pulp Fiction is like the studio of independent films, $8 million. You know, in Hollywood sense, it's nothing, but, you know, compared to Robert Rodriguez, it's like 1,200 times his budget or something. So God bless Robert. I want to thank Quentin Tarantino, who I am very thankful and lucky to be his friend and partner. I would love to thank all the actors, including Sam, just for their amazing performances. And of course, I want to thank the amazing crew. The one thing about making independent films is the crews not only have to be technically great, not only have to be creatively, you know, there, but their heart and soul has to be really in this movie. And you know, we use mostly everybody from Reservoir Dogs on Pulp Fiction. I don't think we can make it a movie without these guys. And I just want to thank Sally Menke, our editor, David Wasco, our production designer, Betsy Hyman, our costume designer, Andre, our cinematographer, Paul Herleman, my line producer, and my post supervisor, Heidi. I want to thank Joelle for being with me throughout this process, which wasn't easy. And I want to thank Mr. Richard Gladstein over there, who when Reservoir Dogs was, when we were doing Reservoir Dogs, you know, Quentin and I were just another couple of filmmakers, and, you know, Richard and Rana had the power of the pen there, and every single thing from the makeup person all the ways to whatever, and these guys supported us all the ways through, and so thanks so much, because he didn't have to give it to us then. And lastly, I want to thank the kings of rock and roll, the kings of cinema, Harvey and Bob Weinstein, for their amazing support now and forever. Thank you.
Well, it has been fun. Indeed, and I want to remind you to come and have fun with us. I've been told here 2 bands, pool tables. That's always an incentive. As you rush to the doors, I want to thank you very much for having me. If you enjoyed anything I said, my agent is here, George Freeman. If you didn't, don't tell anyone.